Let's solve these MCQs. The first one is that a retailer buys an article at the list price from a wholesaler and sells it to a consumer in the same state after marking up the price by 20%. List price is 2500, rate of GST is 12%. What is the tax liability of the retailer to the central government? So here the transaction is happening between three people. First, wholesaler is selling some article to the retailer and the retailer is selling to the consumer. The list price is the marked price, which is 2500, rate of GST 12%. Now whenever they are talking about the tax liability of retailer to the central government, and keeping in mind this is happening in the same state, which is intrastate. In intrastate transaction, the tax which is being collected will be given equally to central and state. So half will be received by central government, half by state government. Okay, so then to calculate this tax liability or the net GST that the retailer has to pay to the government, one very easy way is to look at what is the profit that the retailer is making, and then we can apply the rate of GST on the profit. So here the profit which the retailer will make is same as 20% of the marked price, because that's much how the retailer is increasing when they're selling to the consumer. So 20% of 2500 will be rupees 500, and 12% of 500, so 12% of 500 will be rupees 60. Now 60 is the net tax liability for retailer and half of it is going to central government. So half of 60 will be rupees 30. That is to be paid to central government. So answer is option C, 30 rupees. Question number 2. There was a purchase of some article of mark price 800 rupees. 800 rupees, and then the GST rate is 7%. Then what is the SGST? So if we calculate GST, that will be 7% of 800. But here it's SGST, so which is half the total GST. So the SGST will be half of this. So if we calculate 7% of 400, it will be 7 into 4, which is 28. Okay, so option B is correct, 28 rupees. Next question is about banking. P rupees is deposited for n number of months in a recurring deposit account which pays interest at the rate of R% per annum. The nature and time of interest calculated is which of the following? So we generally know that the interest for recurring deposit account, the formula is P into n plus 1 into R by 2 into 12 into 100. Now there are some questions which are now being asked about how exactly we get this interest for a recurring deposit account. So the idea is that we are depositing the same money, that is the monthly installment, every month, and then the bank is actually calculating simple interest at the end of each month, and finally after the maturity period the total interest will be the sum of the interest calculated at the end of each month. So here the answer will be that the nature and time of interest calculated will be, first it is simple interest, not compound interest, and it is being calculated for 1 month, and later all the interests are being added up. So if you want to look at the details, because I'm calling it simple interest, I know that simple interest formula is PRT by 100. So let's say that end of the first month, the depositor has deposited P rupees. So principal is P, rate of interest is R, time period is 1 month, but that is 1 by 12 year by 100. So it is P into R by 12 into 100. Similarly, interest at the end of second month. Now, at the end of second month, you have deposited P rupees plus P rupees, which is 2 times of P rupees. So the interest will be 2P into R by 12 into 100. Similarly, at the end of nth month, it will be N times P into R by 12 into 100. Then if I add all of these interests, I will get this interest formula, which you already know. Okay. Moving ahead to the next question. Again, it's a banking question. In this one, they're saying that a person wanted to deposit 1000 rupees per month for 1 year, which is 12 months, at a bank paying 5% rate of interest. But then the bank reduced the rate to 4%. Now, how much should the person deposit for the same time period so that the interest remains the same? So we can look at interest for the two different situations. For the first situation, interest will be your monthly deposit 1000 into number of months, which is 12, into one more than that is 13, and rate is 5, divided by this much. This is the interest in the first situation, and I want the interest to remain the same in the second situation when the rate is reduced. So let's say in the second situation, your deposit is X rupees, same time period, rate of interest is 4, and again the same denominator. So when I'm comparing these two, when I'm equating these two, denominators are cancelled, 12 into 13 is cancelled. So my new monthly deposit X will be equal to 5000 divided by 4, which is 1250, which is option number B. Next, we have a question from shares and dividends. There are two people who are investing in different companies, and these are the details which they have given. Now, they are asking us to compare the rate of return. So, for example, Mr. Das invests in 100 rupees, 12% shares of company A available at 60 rupees. So, from this statement, I know that 100 rupees is nominal value, 12% is rate of return, no, rate of dividend, 60 rupees is market value. So then there is a relation that exists between these two rate of dividend, rate of return, and the two values, nominal value and market value. So the relation is something like nominal value into rate of dividend is equal to market value into rate of return. So out of the four things, they have given us three things. So we can utilize that. So we can say that nominal value 100 into rate of dividend 12, that is equal to market value 60 into, let's say, rate of return is X. So from there, X will be equal to 100 into 12 by 60. So if I calculate, X, which was rate of return, is 20%. So for Mr. Das, rate of return is 20%. In the same way, if I calculate the rate of return for the other person, which is Mr. Singh, then I can say that his nominal value is 50 rupees, rate of dividend 16%, market value 40. So 50 into 16 will be equal to market value 40 into, let's say, rate of return is Y. So then Y will be equal to 50 into 16 by 40. If I calculate that, it is coming up as 20%. So even Mr. Singh has a rate of return of 20%, same as the previous person. So our answer is option D, that both have the same rate of return, 20%. Moving ahead, the next question. This is again shares and dividend. They're asking about the money invested by Amit to purchase 10 shares. So this is about sum invested, and we know that sum invested is number of shares into market value of one share. Number of shares is given. I need to find what is the market value of each share. So they have given us that we have 100 rupees shares, which is the nominal value. 7.5% dividend, rate of dividend is given, and rate of return is 10%. So I can again use the previous formula, and I can say in this question, nominal value 100 into rate of dividend 7.5, that is equal to market value, we don't know, so it's x, multiplied by rate of return, which is 10. So then your market value will be 75 rupees, and then the sum invested will be the market value 75 into number of shares, which is 10, which is 750 rupees, which is option B. Moving ahead, there is an inequation given and they are asking what is the solution set. So inequation is minus 3 less than equal to minus 4x plus 5. So I can take this inequation and I can bring minus 4x to the left, minus 3 to the right, and then the sign of inequality will remain the same. So I will have minus 4x will become 4x in the left side, minus 3 will become 3 in the right side. So 4x less than equal to 8, and then divide by 4, x will be less than equal to 2. Okay, now x less than equal to 2 and x belongs to whole numbers. So if I look at which are the whole numbers less than or equal to 2, we have 0, we have 1, and we have 2, which is option number C. Then next question, again inequation. If minus 4x is greater than 8y, then which of the following is true? X is what? Greater than or less than what? So I just need to divide both sides with minus 4. But if I divide both sides with a negative number, the sign of inequality will change. So minus 4x was greater than 8y. If I divide both sides with minus 4, then the greater than will become less than, and then I will have x less than, this will be minus 2y. X is less than minus 2y, which is option C. Then question number 9, this is from quadratic equation. They're asking what is the value or values of k for which this quadratic equation has equal roots. So whenever a quadratic equation needs to have equal roots, the discriminant has to be equal to 0. So discriminant, if I compare a, b and c values, a is 2, b is minus k, c is plus k. So discriminant b square minus 4ac has to be 0. So b square is minus k square, which is same as k square, minus 4 into 2 into k. That should be 0. So k square minus 8k should be 0. For such an equation, I can see the left side has k common. So if I take k common, it is k into k minus 8 equal to 0. Then if I apply zero product rule, either k should be 0 or k minus 8 should be 0. That will give us k is 0 or k is 8. And if I substitute both the values in the quadratic equation, if I substitute k equal to 0, then I will have 2x square equal to 0, which again will have equal roots, which is x equal to 0. And even for k equal to 8, it will be having equal roots. So the answer is option D, 0 or 8. Then the question number 10, we have if x equal to minus 2 is one of the solutions of this quadratic equation, then what is the value of a? So when we have a solution given, we can just substitute that value of the variable in the equation. So x square, that will give us minus 2 square plus 3a minus of x, that is equal to 0. Minus 2 square is 4 plus 3a minus minus 2 is plus 2, that is 0. So we have 3a plus 6 equal to 0. So 3a will be equal to minus 6. A will be equal to minus 6 by 3, that is minus 2. So the answer is B, minus 2.